Have you ever imagined that just one single day, one unexpected encounter, could change your entire life forever? Tonight's story is about that one day, a day filled with love, suspense, and a twist of fate you'll never forget. But before we dive in, tell me in the comments, where in the world are you watching this story from? I absolutely love seeing how far these stories travel and how many hearts they reach. And if you truly enjoy emotional love stories full of romance, drama, and reality, then please hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to Promise Love Stories. Every story here is written straight from the heart. And trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. Now, let's begin our story. The summer air in New York City had its own rhythm that evening. The streets buzzed with rushing footsteps, honking yellow cabs, and glowing neon signs reflecting off glass towers. Among the chaos was Emma Carter, a 26-year-old woman with tired eyes but an unshakable spirit. She worked late nights as a waitress in a small Manhattan diner near Times Square. Since her father's sudden passing 2 years ago, Emma had been holding her little world together, paying bills, looking after her younger brother, and quietly burying her own dreams. She often told herself, "Love isn't for me. Not now. My life doesn't have space for fairy tales." But fate had other plans. The diner bell chimed softly as the door opened. A tall man in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit stepped inside, the kind of presence that made the air pause for a moment. That man was Alexander Knight, a name Emma didn't yet know. At 32, he was already one of the wealthiest real estate magnates in America, the CEO of Knight Enterprises, a billionaire who rarely appeared without headlines chasing him. Yet here he was, sitting alone in a modest corner booth of a cheap diner. When Emma approached with her notepad, their eyes met for the very first time. And in that moment, something unexplainable sparked. Emma, smiling politely, "Good evening. What can I get for you tonight?" Alexander, calm, deep voice, "Surprise me. Order something you'd recommend if you were in my place." Emma blinked. She had served countless customers, rude, arrogant, demanding, but this man's tone carried no arrogance, just curiosity. "Emma, well, if I were you, I'd go for the meatloaf. It's comforting. And the coffee, it's stronger than it looks." Alexander, smirking slightly. "Comfort sounds perfect. Let's go with that." She scribbled down the order, walking away puzzled. Why would a man like him be here at midnight, alone, looking almost lost? When she brought his plate over, he looked at her. Not the food, not his phone, not the clock. Her. "Alexander, you don't belong here either, do you?" Emma froze. "Excuse me, Alexander. Your eyes, they're restless. Like you were meant for something far bigger than this diner." For the first time in years, Emma felt like someone truly saw her. He finished quietly, then reached into his pocket. Not for cash, but for a sleek black business card. He slid it across the table. "Alexander. Emma Carter, right?" He'd read her name tag earlier. Emma, hesitant. "Yes." "Alexander. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, there's a gala at the Plaza Hotel. Come as my guest, Emma." Let out a nervous laugh. "You can't be serious." "I don't even know you." Alexander leaned forward, his voice steady, magnetic. "Sometimes, one night is all it takes to change a life. Will you take that chance?" She stared at the card in disbelief. Her instinct screamed this was crazy, but her heart whispered something else. "Say yes." That night, Emma lay awake in her tiny Brooklyn apartment. Her younger brother Liam slept soundly in the next room. unaware that his sister's life might be on the edge of something extraordinary. Who was Alexander Knight really? Why had he chosen her? Out of millions. Emma's heart pounded as she held his card under the faint glow of her bedside lamp. And for the first time in years, Emma decided to take a risk. She was going to the gala. The next evening, Emma stood frozen in front of a tall mirror inside her small Brooklyn apartment. She barely recognized herself. Her friend and neighbor, Maya, had insisted on helping her get ready. Maya lent Emma a deep navy gown that shimmered under the light, paired with delicate silver earrings. Emma's usually loose brunette hair was swept into soft curls. For someone used to diner uniforms and sneakers, Emma looked like she had stepped out of a dream. But inside, her stomach twisted with nerves. Emma whispered to herself, "What am I even doing?" "This isn't me." Maya placed her hands on Emma's shoulders. "Maya, listen, Em. Sometimes the universe sends you moments. Don't waste them. Tonight could be the start of something you never imagined." The cab pulled up to the Plaza Hotel, its grand facade glowing like a golden jewel under the Manhattan night sky. A red carpet stretched across the steps, lined with photographers, journalists, and flashing cameras. Emma's palms grew sweaty as she stepped out. She felt eyes turning toward her instantly. She wanted to run. But then Alexander appeared, tall, confident, dressed in a classic black tuxedo that looked like it had been made only for him. His presence instantly commanded attention. When his eyes landed on Emma, they softened. A rare smile touched his lips. He extended his hand. "Alexander, I knew you'd come." Emma, nervously, "I almost didn't." Alexander, gently, "But you did. And that's all that matters." Her hand slipped into his, and just like that, the world faded. The noise, the cameras, the flashing lights. For the first time that evening, Emma felt safe. The grand ballroom was breathtaking. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above a sea of silk gowns and black tuxedos. A string quartet played softly in the corner, while waiters glided through with champagne trays. Emma clung slightly to Alexander's arm, overwhelmed. Whispers trailed behind them as they walked in. "Who's she? Is that Alexander Knight's date? I've never seen her before." Emma lowered her gaze, feeling the weight of 100 curious stares. Alexander noticed. He leaned down and whispered near her ear, "Ignore them. Tonight, you're with me. That's all they need to know." Her cheeks flushed at the closeness of his voice. After some introductions, Alexander turned to her. "Alexander, do you dance?" Emma, wide-eyed. "Not like this. Not with people who look like they came out of a magazine." Alexander, smiling. "Good, because neither do I." He led her to the dance floor. As the orchestra began a slow waltz, Emma placed her hand in his. At first, she stumbled slightly, nerves making her clumsy, but Alexander's hand tightened reassuringly around hers. "Relax, just follow me." And she did. With each step, Emma forgot the crowd, the whispers, the world. For a moment, it was just the two of them moving together under the glow of chandeliers. Her laughter bubbled out when she nearly tripped again, and Alexander chuckled softly, eyes locked on her, like she was the only person in the room. As the evening unfolded, Emma began noticing something unusual. Yes, people respected Alexander. Some admired him, but others watched him with sharp eyes, like hawks. During a break, Alexander excused himself briefly to speak with a group of stern-looking men in suits. His expression hardened. No longer the gentle man who had smiled at her, but someone carrying heavy secrets. Emma sipped her champagne nervously, feeling out of place. Then a woman approached. She was stunning, tall, blonde, dressed in emerald silk. She looked Emma up and down with thinly veiled disdain. Woman. So, you're the flavor of the night. Emma, confused. I'm sorry? Woman. Alexander always brings someone new. Don't think it means anything. To him, you're just temporary. Before Emma could respond, the woman walked away with a smirk. Emma's heart sank. Doubts crashed in like waves. Was this all just a game to him? Was she a fool for coming? Later, Alexander found her standing alone near the balcony, staring out at the glowing skyline of Manhattan. Alexander, you disappeared on me. Emma, quietly, I don't belong here. These people, they're not like me. And I don't even know why you asked me to come. He studied her face, his expression unreadable. Then he stepped closer. Alexander, Emma, do you believe that sometimes two people meet for a reason, even if they don't understand it yet? Emma's breath caught. She wanted to believe, but fear still gnawed at her. Emma, what if I'm just another flavor of the night? Her voice broke slightly. Alexander's jaw tightened. Alexander, is that what someone told you? She didn't answer. He exhaled slowly, then whispered, Emma, I don't bring just anyone here. Tonight, you matter, more than you realize. Their eyes locked under the city lights. For a long moment, the noise of the gala faded, leaving only the sound of their hearts beating in unison. Suddenly, the ballroom doors burst open. Security guards rushed toward Alexander, whispering urgently in his ear. His calm mask slipped for the first time. Alexander's hand instinctively gripped Emma's arm. His eyes, usually controlled, unreadable, now burned with something between fear and anger. Alexander, we need to leave. Now Emma's pulse quickened. She didn't know what was happening, but one thing was clear. This night was about to turn into something far more dangerous than she ever imagined. The grand chandeliers of the ballroom sparkled behind them as Alexander pulled Emma swiftly through the crowd. His grip was firm, protective, almost urgent. Emma stumbled in her heels, whispering breathlessly, Alexander, what's happening? Alexander's jaw was tight. His eyes scanned the exits like a man used to being hunted. Not here. I'll explain later. Just trust me. They slipped through a side corridor, past startled waiters and security guards. Within moments, a sleek black town car was waiting outside. The driver jumped to open the door, and Alexander guided Emma in. The car sped into the night, leaving the plaza's glittering facade behind. Emma sat trembling, her pulse racing. She turned to him, voice sharp. You can't just drag me out of there without telling me anything. What was that? Who were those men? Alexander rubbed his temples, exhaling. His calm facade was cracking. Business rivals. Dangerous ones. People who would use anyone close to me as leverage. Emma's eyes widened. Leverage? Alexander. Who are you really? The car stopped at a towering glass skyscraper in Midtown. Alexander escorted her up to the penthouse suite, a breathtaking space overlooking the glittering Manhattan skyline. Floor-to-ceiling windows bathed the room in moonlight, revealing modern art, leather furniture, and walls lined with books. Emma stepped in cautiously, feeling like she had crossed into another world. This place, it doesn't even feel real. Alexander poured 2 glasses of wine, his movements controlled yet tense. Neither does tonight. Emma accepted the glass, but her hands trembled slightly. You still haven't answered me. Why me, Alexander? Out of everyone. You chose a waitress in a diner. Why? He studied her for a long moment, then said quietly, because you look at me like I'm just a man, not a billionaire, not a headline, just a man. The sincerity in his voice made her heart flutter, but doubt still lingered. He stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. Emma's pulse raced as she found herself standing just inches away from him. Alexander's gaze dropped briefly to her lips, then back to her eyes. His voice was low, almost vulnerable. "Emma, do you regret coming tonight?" Her breath caught. She whispered, "No, but I don't understand any of this." For a heartbeat, the world stilled. She felt his warmth, the magnetic pull between them. But before anything could happen, his phone buzzed sharply. The spell shattered. Alexander's expression darkened as he glanced at the screen. He turned away, voice clipped. "I need to take this." Emma watched as Alexander moved toward the fire window, speaking in a low, tense tone. She couldn't catch every word, but fragments reached her. "Not here. I told you to wait. No, she's not involved. If they find out, everything falls apart." Emma's chest tightened. Who was he talking about? And, more importantly, was she the she in question? When he hung up, Alexander's expression was unreadable. Emma's voice was shaky but firm. "If I'm putting myself in danger just by being here, I need to know the truth." Alexander's eyes softened with regret. "The truth, Emma, is complicated and dangerous. But tonight, I swear to you, you're safe with me." Later, as the city lights glittered below, they sat side by side on the penthouse balcony. The cool night breeze carried the faint hum of traffic. Emma stared at the skyline, speaking softly. "You know, I used to dream of a life like this. Not the money, just freedom. A life where I didn't have to worry every second about bills, or my brother, or how tired I'd be after work." Alexander turned to her, listening intently. "Your brother?" Emma nodded. "Liam, he's 16. Since my dad died, it's just been the two of us. He deserves more than what I can give him." For the first time, Alexander's hardened expression melted into something vulnerable. "When I was his age, I lost my parents too. I know what it's like to feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders." Their eyes locked. For a fleeting moment, Emma saw not a billionaire, not a stranger, but a man who carried scars, just like her. Just as Emma felt the wall between them beginning to fall, a sharp knock rattled the penthouse door. Alexander's jaw clenched instantly. He rose, signaling for Emma to stay back. He opened the door a fraction, enough for Emma to glimpse a tall man in a dark suit. Their voices were hushed, but urgent. "You shouldn't have brought her here," the man hissed. "She's not part of this," Alexander growled back. "Everyone becomes part of it eventually." The door shut, leaving Alexander visibly shaken. Emma's voice cracked. "What did he mean? Alexander, what are you hiding from me?" Alexander ran a hand through his hair, frustration etched across his face. He looked at Emma with something between desperation and fear. "Emma, there are things about my world you're better off not knowing. But if you stay, you need to be ready. Once you step in, there's no turning back." Emma's heart pounded. She had come this far, through the gala, through the whispers, through the danger. But could she really walk away now? Her voice trembled, but her resolve was clear. "Then tell me the truth, Alexander. No more secrets." He stared at her, silent for a long, heavy moment. And finally, he nodded. "Tomorrow. I'll tell you everything tomorrow." But as the city lights flickered below, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that tomorrow might change everything. Forever. Sunlight spilled into the penthouse, painting the glass walls in shades of gold. Emma stirred awake on the velvet couch, the faint hum of New York traffic echoing far below. For a brief moment, she forgot where she was. Then reality rushed back. Alexander's world, his secrets, the warning at the door. She sat up quickly, glancing around. The place was silent. Too silent. Emma whispered to herself, maybe he's gone. Maybe it was all just some crazy dream. But then she heard footsteps. Alexander appeared, still in his tuxedo shirt from last night, sleeves rolled up, tie undone. He carried 2 mugs of coffee, setting one gently in front of her. Alexander. Morning? I thought you could use this, Emma. Half smiling nervously. Thanks. I barely slept, Alexander. Quietly. Neither did I. The silence stretched between them, unspoken questions heavy in the air. Emma placed her mug down firmly. You said you'd tell me everything today. No more secrets, Alexander. He nodded slowly, his gaze steady but conflicted. I did, and I will, but once I do, you can't unhear it. You'll have to decide if you want to stay in my world or walk away for good. Emma swallowed hard. Then tell me. I'd rather know the truth than live with lies. Alexander exhaled deeply, moving toward the glass window. The skyline reflected against him like a man split between 2 worlds. Alexander. My company, Knight Enterprises? It's more than real estate. We build towers, we own half the skyline. But we also deal with people who don't play by rules. Competitors, politicians, foreign investors. Some want to partner, some want to destroy me. Emma frowned. That's business, isn't it? That doesn't explain last night. Alexander's jaw tightened. Some of those people don't just fight with money. They fight with power, threats, blackmail. And when they can't get to me, they go after anyone I care about. Emma's breath caught. So that's why you pulled me out of the gala. He turned to her, eyes intense. Yes, because the moment you walked in with me, Emma, you became a target. Emma stood, pacing nervously. So, what you're saying is, being near you puts me in danger. Alexander, I have a brother. I can't drag him into this. I can't risk him. Alexander's voice softened, almost breaking. I would never let anything happen to you. Or to him. That's why I've kept people at a distance for years. Because caring for someone makes them vulnerable. Emma's chest tightened. Then why me? Why bring me into this at all? Alexander stepped closer, his voice low, raw. Because I couldn't stop myself. Because the moment I saw you, I felt something I haven't felt in years. And, for once, I didn't want to be alone. Their eyes locked. The tension between them was electric, pulling them closer like gravity's itself. Emma's lips parted, her heart pounding. She wanted to pull away, to protect herself. But another part of her, the part that had been starving for love, for connection, longed to close the space between them. Alexander leaned in slowly, hesitantly, like a man terrified of crossing a line. Their breaths mingled, their lips just a whisper apart. Bang! A loud crash shattered the moment. The penthouse door burst open. 2 men in dark suits stormed in, followed by the same figure Emma had glimpsed last night. The tall man with cold, watchful eyes. Emma gasped, backing away. Alexander immediately stepped in front of her, protective, his entire demeanor shifting to steel. Man. Knight. You ignored my warnings, Alexander. She has nothing to do with this, Damon. Damon's gaze flicked to Emma, a sinister smile curling his lips. Everyone has something to do with this, Alexander. Especially the ones you care about. Emma's pulse hammered in her ears. For the first time, she truly realized This wasn't just business rivalry. This was dangerous. Deadly, even. Alexander, get out. Now. Before I make you regret walking through that door, Damon chuckled darkly. Always the protector. But how long until your little waitress realizes what kind of man you really are? Emma's voice trembled. Alexander? What is he talking about? Alexander didn't answer. His silence was louder than any confession. Damon stepped closer, his eyes locked on Emma. Careful, sweetheart. Men like him don't save you. They destroy everything they touch. Before Alexander could respond, Damon dropped a small black envelope on the coffee table and walked out with his men. The penthouse door slammed shut, leaving Emma and Alexander alone in suffocating silence. Emma stared at the envelope, fear crawling up her spine. "What's in it?" she whispered. Alexander's expression hardened, his hand trembling slightly as he reached for it. "The past," he said grimly, "and the one thing I've been trying to protect you from." Emma's heart raced as Alexander slowly tore the envelope open. Emma's hands trembled as Alexander set the black envelope on the glass coffee table. It sat there like a bomb waiting to detonate. Emma whispered, "Open it. I need to know." Alexander hesitated. His fingers hovered over the flap, his jaw clenched. Finally, with a deep breath, he tore it open. A stack of glossy photographs slid out, each one darker than the last. Emma gasped, "Oh my God!" The pictures showed Alexander at different times, different places. Some at late-night meetings in shadowy warehouses, others with dangerous-looking men, briefcases exchanged, handshakes in the dark. To Emma, they looked like scenes from a crime thriller. Emma's voice shook. "Alexander, what is this?" Alexander stared at the photos, then at Emma. His expression was raw, vulnerable. "It's my past, Emma. The part I never wanted you to see, Emma. These look like deals with criminals." Alexander, they were. Years ago, before Knight Enterprises was what it is now. I was young, reckless. I wanted to build an empire overnight. And to do that, I made deals with the wrong people. Emma's chest tightened. "And Damon?" Alexander's eyes darkened. "Damon was one of them, a partner once. Now, my greatest enemy. He's been waiting for years to tear me down." Emma stepped back, struggling to breathe. "So it's true. Everything he said, that you destroy everything you touch." Alexander's face twisted in pain. "I was that man once, but not anymore. I spent years breaking free, cutting ties, cleaning every trace of those mistakes. Damon holds on to the past because it's the only weapon he has left." Emma shook her head, tears brimming. "But why me? Why drag me into this dangerous world?" Alexander's voice cracked. "Because when I saw you, you made me want to be better. To be the man I should have been all along." Silence filled the penthouse, broken only by the distant hum of the city. Emma turned toward the window, blinking back tears. Her heart ached. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to trust that beneath the billionaire armor and dark past, there was a man who truly loved her. But was love enough against a storm like this? Emma, whispering, "I don't know if I can survive in your world, Alexander. I don't know if I'm strong enough." Alexander walked closer, his reflection merging with hers in the glass. "You don't have to be strong alone. I'll fight for us. I'll protect you with everything I have. But I can't do it if you walk away now." Emma turned, eyes glistening. Their faces were inches apart. The air between them crackled with tension. Love, fear, longing. This time, Emma didn't pull away. She closed the distance, pressing her lips to his. The kiss was desperate, fierce, filled with every emotion they couldn't put into words. For a moment, the world outside disappeared. But just as quickly, reality slammed back in. Emma broke the kiss, breathless. "I need time. I need to think." Alexander nodded, though pain flashed in his eyes. "Take all the time you need. But know this, I won't let Damon or anyone else take you from me." Later that evening, Alexander insisted on driving Emma back to her apartment. The streets of New York buzzed with life, but inside the sleek black car, silence pressed between them. When they pulled up outside her modest building, Alexander reached for her hand. "Emma, whatever happens, remember, you've changed me. You've given me something worth fighting for." Emma's heart squeezed. She wanted to say she felt the same, but the words stuck in her throat. She stepped out, watching as his car disappeared into the night. For the first time, she wondered if she'd ever see him again. Back in her small apartment, Emma dropped onto her couch. Her brother Ethan poked his head out of his room. "Ethan, you look like you've been through hell." "What happened?" Emma forced a smile. "Nothing. Just a long night." But when she lay in bed later, her mind wouldn't stop racing. Alexander's confessions, Damon's threats, the photographs, they replayed in her head like an endless film reel. She whispered into the darkness, "What have I gotten myself into?" Her phone buzzed suddenly. The caller ID, unknown number. Emma hesitated before answering. "Hello?" A chilling voice replied. "Stay away from Alexander Knight if you want to keep your brother safe." Her blood ran cold. Who is this? But the line went dead. Emma's hand shook as she clutched the phone. Her world, once ordinary, was now a battlefield. And the war had only just begun. Emma barely slept. Every creak of her apartment made her heart leap. Damon's warning echoed in her mind. "Stay away from Alexander Knight if you want to keep your brother safe." By morning, she forced herself to act normal. She made breakfast, poured coffee, and smiled weakly as Ethan stumbled into the kitchen in his hoodie, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Ethan, you look like you didn't sleep at all." Emma, forcing a laugh. "Work stress." Nothing new, but inside, her stomach twisted. Should she tell Ethan the truth? Or would that only put him in more danger? As Emma grabbed her bag to leave for work, her phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a call. It was a photo message. Her blood froze. The image showed Ethan leaving his college campus, but the angle was wrong. It wasn't a normal picture. It was taken secretly, from across the street. The text below it read, "We're watching. Choose wisely." Emma's hand shook so badly she almost dropped her phone. By the time she reached the cafe, Emma couldn't take it anymore. She pulled out her phone, dialed Alexander's number, and when he answered, her voice broke. "They're threatening Ethan. They're watching him. Alexander, what do I do?" Alexander's tone turned cold, sharp, protective. "Stay where you are. I'm coming." Within 20 minutes, a sleek black car pulled up outside. Alexander stepped out, flanked by two men in dark suits, his private security. His usual calm confidence was replaced by visible fury. He ushered her inside the car, his hand never leaving hers. "Alexander, I told you, the moment you walked into my life, Damon would use you. But I swear to you, Emma, he will never touch your brother. Not while I'm alive." Instead of the penthouse, Alexander took Emma to a discreet townhouse in Brooklyn. A safe house. Inside, the air smelled of leather and old wood. Security monitors lined one wall, showing feeds of different parts of the city. Emma looked around nervously. What is this place? Alexander. A backup. A place no one knows about. You'll stay here until I deal with Damon. Emma. And Ethan? He's still out there. Alexander cut her off, speaking into his earpiece. Within minutes, his men confirmed Ethan had been picked up by night security and was being brought safely to the townhouse. Emma's knees nearly gave out from relief. When Ethan arrived, he was confused and angry. Ethan. Emma, what's going on? Who are these guys? Why am I here? Emma's eyes welled up as she hugged him tight. I'm sorry, Ethan. I should have told you sooner. But I just wanted to keep you safe. Alexander stood nearby, his gaze firm. Ethan looked at him suspiciously. And you? You're the guy everyone talks about, the billionaire. Why are we suddenly part of your drama? Alexander didn't flinch. Because I care about your sister. And because someone from my past is trying to use her to hurt me. But I won't let that happen. Hours later, as night fell, Emma stepped onto the townhouse balcony, gazing out at the city lights. Alexander joined her quietly, his presence both calming and intimidating. Emma, Ethan's right. I never asked for this. Our lives were simple before you. Now everything feels like a storm I can't escape. Alexander's voice was low, pained. If you want to walk away, Emma, I won't stop you. I'll protect you from afar, make sure Damon never touches you again. But I can't undo what you've already become to me. Emma turned to him, her heart racing. And what's that? Alexander's eyes locked with hers. Everything. For a moment, the world melted away. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to surrender to that love. But before she could speak, one of Alexander's men burst onto the balcony. Sir, we've got movement. The safe house monitors lit up. 3 black SUVs had pulled up just blocks away. Armed men poured out, moving in formation. Emma's blood ran cold. They found us. Alexander's voice turned to steel. Get Emma and her brother to the panic room? Now his men rushed Emma and Ethan down a narrow staircase to a hidden steel door. Inside, the panic room was stark. Concrete walls, a few chairs, and more monitors. Emma clutched her brother's hand, heart pounding as gunfire echoed faintly from outside. On one of the screens, she saw Alexander, alone, standing tall at the front entrance, waiting as Damon's men closed in. Emma pressed her hands against the monitor, whispering through tears, Alexander, don't do this. Please don't fight them alone. The screen flickered as shadows closed in on him. The last thing Emma saw before the feed cut was Alexander stepping forward, his voice steady, fearless. If you want them, Damon, you'll have to go through me. The monitor went black. Emma gasped, collapsing into the chair. Tears streamed down her face. Her brother squeezed her hand. Emma, who is this man to you? Emma's voice cracked as she whispered the only truth she knew. The man who might lose everything, just to protect me. The silence in the panic room was unbearable. The monitors flickered with static, broken by faint echoes of gunfire outside. Emma's heart pounded. Every second stretched into eternity. Ethan tried to stay calm, but his voice betrayed him. Emma, what if he doesn't come back? What if he's... Emma gripped his hand tightly. Don't say it. He will. He has to. But inside, terror clawed at her chest. Outside the townhouse, Alexander stood, like a shadow carved in steel. Damon's men advanced, weapons drawn. Damon's voice rang out from behind them. Night! You should have stayed in your glass tower. Now you'll bleed in the streets like the rest of us. Alexander's eyes narrowed. You want me, Damon? Here I am. But leave them out of this. Damon smirked, stepping into the dim streetlight. You always thought you could play hero, but the truth is, you're no different from me. Alexander moved forward. Two of Damon's men lunged at him, but with swift precision, he disarmed one and sent the other crashing into a car. Despite his wealth and power, in that moment, he was raw survival, fighting with every ounce of strength. In the panic room, Emma couldn't take it anymore. She slammed her hands against the steel door. We can't just sit here while he fights alone. He's out there risking his life for us. Ethan. Emma, he told us to stay put. You'll only make it worse. Emma's eyes filled with fire. Worse than watching him die. Against all logic, against all fear, she grabbed the emergency latch and pulled. The door creaked open. Ethan shouted after her, but she didn't stop. Emma burst into the night air. The street was chaos. Flashing headlights, broken glass, men shouting. Her eyes locked on Alexander, blood on his cheek, his shirt torn, still standing tall against Damon and his men. Emma's heart wrenched. He wasn't just a billionaire anymore. He was a man bleeding, fighting, human, and hers. Alexander, she screamed. He turned, shock flooding his face. Emma, no! Go back! But it was too late. Damon spotted her. His grin widened like a predator finding prey. Damon grabbed Emma by the arm, yanking her forward. She gasped, struggling against his grip. Damon whispered darkly in her ear, Now I see why you're so weak, Knight. This little waitress. She's your Achilles heel. Alexander's rage erupted. He lunged forward, his voice like thunder. Let her go! But Damon pressed a knife against Emma's throat. One more step, and she bleeds. Emma froze, fear clawing at her, but deep inside, something else awakened. A spark of defiance. Emma looked Damon dead in the eyes, her voice trembling but steady. You think you scare me? I've lived my whole life fighting to survive. You're nothing but a coward hiding behind threats. For a split second, Damon faltered, surprised by her fire. It was all Alexander needed. With lightning speed, he struck Damon's wrist, knocking the knife away. Emma stumbled back into Alexander's arms as his men clashed with Damon's guards. Just as Alexander pulled Emma behind him, a gunshot split the night. Emma screamed as Alexander staggered, clutching his side. Blood seeped through his shirt. No! Alexander. He dropped to one knee, his face pale but determined. Damon, holding the smoking gun, sneered. That's what happens to heroes, Emma. They fall. Emma's tears blurred her vision, but her voice was fierce. You'll never break him. You'll never break us. Suddenly, red and blue lights flooded the street. Sirens wailed as NYPD vehicles screeched to a halt. Officers poured out, weapons drawn. Damon cursed under his breath, backing away as his men scrambled. This isn't over, Knight. You can't hide her forever. Before Emma could react, Damon disappeared into the shadows, leaving chaos behind. Emma dropped to the ground, cradling Alexander's head in her lap. Tears streamed down her face as she pressed her hands against his wound. Stay with me, please. Don't you dare leave me now. Alexander's breathing was ragged, but his hand found hers, squeezing weakly. Emma, you're stronger than you think. Don't let him take that from you. Paramedics rushed in, lifting Alexander onto a stretcher. Emma refused to let go of his hand until they pried her fingers free. As the ambulance doors closed, she whispered desperately, I won't lose you. Not now. Not ever. As the ambulance sped into the night, Emma stood trembling, Ethan beside her. Her world was spinning out of control. The man she'd met by chance, the man who turned her life upside down, was now fighting for his life because of her. Ethan asked quietly, "Emma, do you love him?" Emma's eyes filled with tears. She finally spoke the truth. Yes. More than anything, and with that, her story was no longer about survival. It was about fighting for love, no matter the cost. The sterile smell of antiseptic filled Emma's lungs as she paced outside the ICU. Every second stretched endlessly, her mind replaying the image of Alexander collapsing in her arms, blood staining his shirt. Through the glass window, she saw him, pale, unconscious, hooked up to monitors that beeped rhythmically, keeping him tethered to life. Emma whispered to herself, "Please don't leave me. Not when I finally know what you mean to me." Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice soft. "He's strong, Emma. If he's fought this long, he'll fight through this too." But Emma could see the fear in her brother's eyes. When the doctor finally came out, Emma rushed forward. "Doctor, the bullet missed his lung, but it did damage. He's stable for now, but the next 24 hours are critical." Emma nodded, tears spilling. "Thank you, doctor. Please, do everything you can." When she returned to the waiting area, she sank into a chair, burying her face in her hands. "This is my fault. If I'd never walked into his world, he wouldn't be lying in there fighting for his life." Ethan sat beside her, speaking gently. "Or maybe you're the reason he's still alive? People like him. They fight harder when they have something worth living for." Emma looked up, eyes wet. "Something? Or someone?" "Ethan, you already know the answer." Emma refused to leave Alexander's side. She sat in the dim ICU room, holding his hand, whispering to him as machines hummed around them. "Do you hear me, Alexander? You can't give up. You told me I was stronger than I thought. Now I need you to prove you're stronger too. Please." Hours passed. Nurses came and went. Still, Emma sat vigil, her head eventually resting against his hand. Then, his fingers twitched. Emma's eyes flew open. She leaned closer as his lips parted, his voice faint, hoarse. "Emma!" Her heart nearly burst. She pressed her forehead to his. "I'm here. I'm not leaving you." The fragile moment shattered when Alexander's head of security, Daniel, entered urgently. "Daniel, Emma, we have a problem. Damon's not done. He knows Alexander is vulnerable, and he'll use this chance to strike harder." Emma's voice trembled. "How?" "Alexander is in a hospital, surrounded by security." Daniel shook his head grimly. "Hospitals are public. Too many ways in. Too many people to hide behind. We can't guarantee safety here." Emma's stomach dropped. "So, what do we do?" "Daniel, we move him." Tonight, Emma looked at Alexander, still weak, still recovering. Moving him could kill him, but leaving him here might do the same. Later that night, as Emma stepped into the hospital corridor for coffee, she froze. At the far end of the hall, a tall figure in a dark coat stood watching. His face was shadowed, but Emma felt his eyes burn into her. Her blood ran cold. "Damon!" She blinked, and he was gone. Emma rushed back to Alexander's room, breathless. "We have to move him now. He's here. Damon is here." Daniel didn't question her. Orders were given. Within minutes, Alexander was prepped for transport, guarded by armed men. The convoy left the hospital under cover of night. One ambulance, two black SUVs flanking it. Emma sat inside with Alexander, gripping his hand tightly as the city blurred past the windows. For a moment, she thought they were safe. Then headlights appeared in the rear-view mirror, a black car speeding toward them. Then another. Emma's heart lurched. It's him! Damon's men! The driver shouted, "We've got a tail!" The chase began. Engines roared as Damon's cars boxed in the convoy on a dark stretch of highway. Metal screeched as one SUV was rammed. Emma clung to Alexander, terror flooding her veins. Daniel, hold on! Gunshots cracked the night. Windows shattered. Sparks flew as tires screeched. Emma screamed as one of Damon's cars swerved in front, forcing the ambulance toward the guardrail. No, no, no! Alexander stirred weakly, his voice faint but firm. Emma, listen to me. No matter what happens, don't give up on us. Emma's tears spilled. I won't. I swear I won't. Just when the ambulance skidded dangerously close to the edge, sirens blared again, police cruisers flooding the highway. Damon's cars peeled away into the darkness, disappearing like ghosts. Emma collapsed in relief, clutching Alexander's hand to her chest. Daniel turned, sweat dripping down his temple. That was too close. He won't stop until he breaks you both. Emma looked at Alexander, pale and unconscious again. Fear consumed her, but so did determination. Then we'll stop him first. Hours later, the convoy reached a hidden estate outside the city, an iron-gated mansion that served as one of Alexander's private retreats. As Emma helped the nurses settle him into a secured room, she glanced out the tall windows. In the distance, beyond the trees, a shadow moved, watching, waiting. Emma's voice was a whisper, filled with steel. Damon, if you want to come for him, you'll have to go through me too. The night air was heavy around the secluded mansion where Alexander was recovering. Security cameras blinked red across the property, and armed guards patrolled the grounds. But Emma couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Inside the master suite, Alexander lay resting, color slowly returning to his cheeks. Emma sat by his bedside, brushing strands of hair from his forehead. When his eyes fluttered open, she smiled through her exhaustion. Hey, you scared me half to death. His voice was raspy, but steady. I told you, I don't give up easily. Not when I have you. Emma felt her chest tighten. For the first time, he said it openly. He wasn't fighting just for himself. He was fighting for them. As silence filled the room, Alexander's hand found hers. Alexander, Emma, I don't care how this story ends. Whether I'm a billionaire or a broken man, I want you to know, I love you. Her breath caught. For a moment, the world stilled. Then tears rolled down her cheeks. Emma, you can't say that while lying in a hospital bed. I need you to live it with me. Say it again when you're strong enough to stand. He smiled faintly, eyes heavy with sleep. Deal. That fragile peace didn't last. Later that evening, Daniel burst into the room, his expression grim. Daniel, we intercepted a message. Damon knows where we are. He's gathering men. He's coming here. Emma's blood turned to ice. Then we have to move again. Daniel shook his head. There's no time. By the time we relocate, we'll be exposed. The safest option is to stand our ground. Alexander struggled to sit up, grimacing in pain. No, he's right. Running won't stop Damon. We end this tonight. Emma's heart raced. You can't even stand without help, Alexander. How are you going to fight him? He looked at her, eyes fierce despite his weakness. Because I have something to fight for. And because I'm not alone. In the strategy room, maps of the estate spread across the table. Daniel outlined guard rotations, while Ethan double-checked escape routes. But it was Emma who surprised everyone. Emma, Damon doesn't want Alexander dead. Not yet. He wants to break him first, which means he'll come for me. The room fell silent. Alexander. Absolutely not. I won't let you put yourself in his hands. Emma held his gaze. It's the only way. If I draw him out, you'll have the chance to end this. Alexander slammed his fist weakly against the table. Emma, I already almost lost you once. I won't risk it again. She touched his cheek softly. And if we don't stop him, we'll lose everything anyway. Trust me, Alexander. Just this once. Let me protect you. His jaw clenched, torn between love and fear. Finally, he nodded slowly. If you do this, I'll never forgive myself if something happens to you. Emma, then make sure nothing does. That night, Emma stood in the mansion's garden, the moon casting silver light across the estate. She wore a simple white dress that shimmered faintly in the dark, a vision Damon wouldn't be able to resist. She whispered into the night, "Come and get me." And as expected, shadows moved among the trees. Damon stepped forward, his presence as cold and sharp as a blade. His smile was venom. Damon, there you are. The woman who turned a king into a weak man, Emma stood tall, though fear clawed at her insides. Or maybe I made him stronger than you'll ever be. His eyes darkened. You don't belong in his world, Emma. But you could belong in mine. Stand beside me, and I'll spare him. Emma's voice trembled but did not break. I'd rather burn than stand beside you. The moment the words left her lips, Damon lunged forward. But before he could touch her, lights blazed across the garden. Armed guards surrounded him. Daniel raised his weapon. And then, Alexander stepped into the light, pale but standing, determination blazing in his eyes. Alexander, it ends tonight, Damon. The brothers locked eyes, years of rivalry, jealousy, and betrayal, boiling over in one final stare. Damon laughed bitterly. You were always the golden boy. But tonight, I take everything from you. Gunfire erupted. Shadows scattered. Guards clashed in the chaos. Emma ducked behind a stone pillar, heart pounding, eyes never leaving Alexander as he faced Damon. Despite his weakened state, Alexander fought with a fire born of love. Damon was ruthless, striking with fury, but Alexander's determination kept him standing. At one point, Damon pinned him, rage twisting his features. You think she chose you because of love? She chose you because of money. Without it, you're nothing. Emma's voice rang out, clear and defiant. You're wrong! I chose him because he's everything you'll never be. Her words gave Alexander the strength he needed. With one final surge, he broke free, forcing Damon to the ground. Sirens wailed in the distance. Police lights flashed through the trees. Damon looked up, snarling, as officers stormed the estate. Alexander stood over him, chest heaving. For a moment, he could end it all. But Emma stepped forward, placing her hand on his arm. Don't do it. You're not him. End this. The right way. Alexander's jaw tightened. Then he stepped back. The police dragged Damon away, shouting curses into the night. The battle was over. As the chaos settled, Emma ran into Alexander's arms. He staggered but held her tightly, burying his face in her hair. I almost lost you. She shook her head, tears spilling freely. No. We almost lost each other, but we didn't. We're still here. For the first time in his life, Alexander felt something stronger than power or wealth. He felt peace. He pulled back, cupping her face. Emma, you saved me. Not just tonight, but from myself. Her lips trembled into a smile. And you saved me from a life without love. They kissed under the broken moonlight, the nightmare behind them, the future uncertain, but theirs to face together. As dawn broke over the estate, Emma stood at the balcony watching the sunrise. Ethan joined her quietly. It's over now, right? Emma stared at the horizon, heart heavy but hopeful. Over. Maybe. But something tells me our story has only just begun. Behind her, Alexander stepped into the light, his hand reaching for hers. And with that, the curtain rose for the final chapter. The night's chaos had given way to dawn. The first rays of sunlight spilled across the estate, painting the broken garden in soft gold. The scars of the battle remained: shattered glass, bullet holes, trampled roses. But for Emma, it felt like a new beginning. She stood on the balcony, inhaling the crisp morning air. For the first time in days, she allowed herself to breathe. Behind her, footsteps approached, strong but gentle. She turned, and there was Alexander. He looked pale, still healing, but the fire in his eyes was alive again. He smiled, a rare softness on his lips. You didn't leave. Emma tilted her head, smiling back. After everything we've been through, you really think I'd walk away now? He stepped closer, taking her hand. You've changed everything, Emma. My world was power, money, control. But you showed me something none of that could buy. She whispered, love. Alexander paused, as if searching for courage. Then, without hesitation, he dropped to one knee. Emma gasped, covering her mouth. Alexander. His voice trembled, but his eyes held steady. I don't care how we started. Whether it was a deal, a game, or fate playing its tricks. All I know is that one day with you changed me forever. And I want every day after that to be ours. Emma Carter, will you marry me? Tears blurred her vision. She fell to her knees with him, hands clutching his. Yes. 1,000 times yes they kissed. The world around them fading, leaving only their hearts beating as one. Days later, the estate transformed. Instead of fear and shadows, it now shimmered with laughter and light. Friends, family, and even some of Alexander's trusted business allies gathered for an intimate celebration. Emma wore a flowing dress of ivory silk, her hair adorned with delicate flowers. Alexander, still recovering but radiant, stood tall beside her. Ethan raised a glass, voice filled with emotion. To my sister, who found love where she least expected it. And to Alexander, who learned that the richest man in the world is the one who holds her heart. Applause and cheers followed. Emma's cheeks burned, but her heart soared. Later that night, after the laughter faded and guests departed, Alexander led Emma into the garden, the very place where Damon had tried to destroy them. Now, under the starlit sky, it felt reborn. Alexander pulled her close. This place holds scars, but it also holds the memory of the moment I realized I couldn't lose you. Emma rested her head on his chest. And now, it's the place where we start again. He kissed the top of her head, whispering, forever begins tonight. Weeks turned into months. Alexander's wounds healed, but the love between them only deepened. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace in their home, Emma traced her fingers along his hand. Do you ever think about how it all started? Just one day, one decision, and suddenly, everything changed? Alexander smiled faintly. I used to think fate was nonsense. But now, I believe that day was written for us. You weren't just a chapter in my life, Emma. You're the whole story. Her heart swelled. She leaned in, kissing him softly. Then promise me one thing. He looked into her eyes, serious. Anything. Emma, no matter what storms come, no matter what shadows return, we never let go of this. Of us. Alexander, I promise. On everything, I am. The camera of their story pulled back, past their laughter, their home, their intertwined hands. until it framed the vast city skyline. Emma's voice, gentle and resolute, echoed like a closing narration. I became a billionaire's wife for one day, but it changed my life forever because love isn't measured in time or wealth. It's measured in the moments that take your breath away. And for us, this is just the beginning. Fade to black. Thank you so much for watching this story until the very end. If you felt the emotions, the love, and the suspense in Emma and Alexander's journey, please show your support. Comment below where you're watching from, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to Promise Love Stories so you never miss the next chapter of love, drama, and unforgettable emotions. Until then, keep believing in love.